Thank you. Ms. Score, as some of the comments made at today's hearing demonstrate, there's seemingly no end to the list that opponents of the RFS program will seek to pin on American biofuels. Critics now appear to be blaming biofuels for rising retail gas prices, notwithstanding the reality that what consumers pay at the pump is largely determined by A, oil prices, and B, basic supply and demand. Ms. Score, could you address the claim that RIN prices and biofuel production are somehow responsible for increasing retail gas prices?
Thank you, Senator. And yes, those are false claims. So the price of the RIN has no bearing on the price of fuel at the pump. Those are entirely separate markets. Well, the dominant factor driving the price of fuel for consumers at the pump is the price of crude oil, in addition to supply and demand. That's something that is affirmed by our government agencies and other modeling. And I think what's really important to understand is the role of biofuel in bringing down the price of fuel for the consumers. And the evidence today is the price of E15. So consumers in 31 states today, they can go up to the pump and they could put in standard 87, that's a 10% blend. Some of them could choose an 88 octane, that is a 15% blend. When they have a little bit more ethanol, that actually brings the price down. They're saving up to 10 cents per gallon. And there are also stations where you can buy 0% ethanol. There you're paying a premium up to 50 cents not to have ethanol. So most assuredly, biofuels like ethanol help bring down the cost of gas prices.
Thank you. And Ms. Score, based on how Big Oil describes the burdens of purchasing RINs, it is impressive that oil refiners survived the bipartisan enactment of the RFS more than 15 years ago. My understanding is that EPA, under the last three administrations, the American Petroleum Institute, and numerous individual oil companies are all on public record confirming that oil refiners, large and small, recover RIN costs downstream and are therefore not irreparably harmed by the amount of money they pay to acquire RINs. Could you help us understand how, despite the arguments of big oil over many years, oil refiners have managed to purchase RINs and stay in business?
Thank you for the question. Yes. So, the RIN affords refiners flexibility in terms of how they demonstrate compliance with the RFS. They can blend biofuel like ethanol and they can hand in a RIN, or they can purchase a RIN. So they've got the flexibility to be able to do this. And the RFS has been in place since 2007. So we've had more than a decade for the businesses to understand their annual obligations and make business decisions accordingly. And again, important to understand kind of the RIN marketplace and the volatility that you see when you have refiners who are choosing not to blend and wait till the 11th hour and then seek some type of exemption or waiver or extension from the agency. I think that's really where you're seeing the volatility come into play. But the bottom line is, when it comes to consumer price at the pump, the more biofuel, the more they're going to save.
Thank you, Ms. Score. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record EPA analyses from 2015, 2017, and 2021 that confirm what Ms. Score just explained, along with two documents that counter the recent study that has garnered attention this week, one from the Renewable Fuels Association and another from the National Corn Growers Association, indicating, among other things, that the USDA found that ethanol's carbon intensity was 39% lower than gasoline, and that according to the EPA, the RFS has not expanded cropland. It has in fact decreased them by increased efficiency on existing cropland, not by expanding acreage. And according to the USDA, the amount of fertilizer required to produce a bushel of corn has fallen dramatically in recent decades since the creation of the RFS.
Is that your unanimous consent request?
Yes.
Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you.
Thank you. I also asked unanimous consent to include in the record for this hearing reports from Environmental Health and Engineering. It's a report addressing biofuels and greenhouse gas reduction. The Life Cycle Associates 2020 report documenting the 1 billion metric tons of GHG reductions attributed to biofuel use since 2007. Third, a study published by USDA scientists in 2021 titled The Greenhouse Gas Benefits of Corn Ethanol, Assessing Recent Evidence, which found climate-smart agriculture practices reduce emissions. And finally, fourth, a study published by Argonne National Laboratory that found corn ethanol is reducing the carbon footprint and diminishing GHG emissions.
Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you. These studies confirm what we already know. American-grown blended biofuels have been reducing GHG emissions for years, and the RFS has played an integral part in these efforts. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.